What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we're going to be discussing the different formats of Vanguard and how they're really doing. So just the viability of them, like what is in what kind of state, just some different opinions on that in general, what makes a card game kind of good, and just the formats in general being in a nice, healthy place. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. I'm just going to be filling out one of the markers to give you some visuals while I kind of talk through some of my opinions on this subject. So yeah, let's hop right into it. Alright, before we jump right into each specific format, I just want to kind of go over like what constitutes a healthy format and just like a general misconception that I think really I've been seeing going around the community. So this concept of like being a diverse format is a healthy format. In my opinion, the two don't always equate. Being diverse is definitely a quality of a healthy format, but at the same time, you could have, 10 decks being the top meta contenders, and then if they're all doing something kind of broken or just degenerate, like that's not healthy. That doesn't equate to healthy, in my opinion. So speaking of that, like obviously I'm referring to predominantly premium, a couple other formats, or at least one other format really in my mind too kind of stands out, but I'll get to the specifics a little bit later. But overall, I think a healthy format means that you can have multiple different decks. It is a TCG, so you're probably looking at like 5 or 6 decks within reason, I think within Vanguard size of what, the card pool kind of is. On top of that, each deck should have like an interaction. There shouldn't be like a 0 to 6 deck. There shouldn't be something that completely locks your opponent out of playing like Yu-Gi-Oh or something. I think decks that don't have interaction in a game like this are just really not fun and really make your opponent sit there and say, hey, I don't want to play this anymore. I think we kind of saw that towards the tail end of the regular V series when we were before the clan selection packs. People were just, Gurgit meta was tier 0, Blue Art is tier 0, and when you have a tier 0 format, like your game is in hot waters. You're basically gonna start to see players, like I said, just leave the game and really not want to play. It's really not fun at that point. So I think overall, being a diverse format, being able to interact, like 6 decks or whatever the case may be, or all have a viable shot at really winning and taking tops, either tops or the entire tournament within the format. On top of that, interaction, like I spoke about. I think also the better player should be able to win. Like, there shouldn't be so much RNG. I know this is Vanguard, so it is going to happen. Like, it totally is. I totally get that. But at the same time, things shouldn't be decided by a 150 kind of factor. So jumping right into it, obviously I'm addressing the Overtrigger in D-Series, so we'll start with their D-Series kind of analysis. And overall, if I had to say it, I would say, yeah, D-Series is in a majority healthy kind of format. So let's just, we'll park that discussion about the Overtrigger and just look at the decks themselves first. So I know this past weekend at BSFO, Bastion kind of ran away with a lot. I think that's due to 2 things. First off, Bastion's a pretty easy deck to pilot. Like, it's not overly complicated. You don't have to make these insane kind of combo choices, and I think, once you play a couple games on it, like, you pretty much have it down. You're able to pilot it at a decently proficient level and get good results from it. On top of that, I think that there's just a lot of hive mind in Vanguard in general. One person starts topping, you see a deck for 2 weeks in a row start topping, and oh, this is best deck, yeah, best deck. And you just kind of run away with the concept, and yeah, Bastion probably is the best deck for the reason I said before too. It's just got the 4 attacks, nice powerful columns that, a lot of decks really can't handle at this point. Pretty linear playstyle. It's just, all in all, a good deck. It's like a really good rush deck. If you are into like an aggro, aggressive kind of playstyle, that is definitely a great thing for you. But overall, I think you can play any deck really and do well. I think we see that on just different levels all across the world. So you can play, Barrow Magnus, you can play Bruce, you can play Verena to an extent, you can play a lot of different things. So I think in general there is no tier 0 deck, which is really nice. And like I said, yeah, Bastion is a bit easier to play, so maybe it's just overrepresented. People say, oh, top deck, more people play it, more people are obviously going to top if more people are playing it, so that, the cycle just kind of continues on. Overall, like I said, the format is, yes, I would check it off as healthy. The main issue really is the Overtrigger, and I totally get what people are saying where, hey, this isn't a competitive format because of the Overtrigger, you get the Overtrigger and you win, you get the Overtrigger, you lose, whatever it is. Like, I don't subscribe to that train of thought and necessarily 100% that it's like a completely broken kind of mechanic, like abandon this game, like it's done. I think that we have to put a little faith into the developers at this point, because I think they did a really good job so far. I think they've done a great job with like the V clan selection. I think they've done a good job with set 1. I'm having a ton of fun with this selection. So overall, I get what you're saying. Like, there shouldn't be a 1 in 50 chance to determine a game. So let's just talk hypothetically for a second, I think we can all agree that 1 in 7 games, it's probably going to come up. And I would say I'm going to give it to, I'll be generous here. I'll say 80% of those games, if you hit the Overtrigger, you're probably going to win if your opponent doesn't hit it. And let's look at like a top 8, right? Like, you sat there all weekend long, you're playing 6 rounds, whatever it is, Busher Road Springfest online, and you get to the top 8, boom, your opponent hits a defensive trigger, Overtrigger, shuts down your entire turn, you had them, that was your push turn. I don't think that, like, at a competitive level like that, you should be robbed of a win just because that 1 in 50 chance. The counter argument to that, like, you have to account for the Overtrigger, if you don't see it in their drop, or, whatever, it hasn't been revealed yet, that has to be part of your game plan, but there's no counterplay to it. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to say, I have to guard out for the Overtrigger every single time, or I have to I can't jack my columns up to go over an Overtrigger, I have to just hit that one time, they hit it, and boom, shut the rest of my turn off. Just kind of sucks at that point. So I totally get what people are saying. Again, I don't think that it's the format's irredeemable at this point. I think I'm just placing my faith that they'll do something to make it, just a little bit less. And again, it is a 1 in 50, but at the same time, there are only 7 matches in like top 8, and again, if you're robbed of that in such a big event, it really sucks, and I don't want to see that at the competitive level. And the better player in a healthy format, I feel like, should always win. And the Overtrigger just kind of takes that away. I get it; it's Vanguard, RNG is always a thing, but at that point, like that's a whole new level of RNG kind of stealing games for you. So that's my main gripe right now with Overdress, and only time will tell. Is this like a persistent kind of issue? Moving right along then, I guess, into V-Series. I would say V-Series, I don't know if I'd call it like 1000% healthy. There are very healthy aspects of it, but I think in general, the top deck right now is just running away a little bit too far from second place. I think that, if you are a very serious competitive player, if you're piloting that deck, you will probably win. I think in general, in V-Series, the better player will win. So if you love to complain about markers, if you love to just rag on V-Series like I see so many talking heads and personalities kind of do, I think that my advice to you is get good in a way. You can have your own opinion. I'm not trying to tell you what format to play and how to play it, whatever the case may be, like totally up to you, but I think people are just unfairly kind of ripping on V. I think that it's at majority of decks are at a good state, and if we tweaked maybe Prisms right now, which is clearly like by far and large like the best deck right now. Hand size is out of control. The attack pattern is really linear, and just multi-attacks. Force numbers are obviously just force numbers. It's kind of weird. Deck just does so much. So if you tweak like maybe like Aqua and some of the Lee Select, get some of that early game advantage away, some of that hand advantage away, maybe it'll be a bit more fair, just staying within that archetype a bit. But I think that the format is definitely not irredeemable. You can play so many different decks and expect really good results. Like if we tweaked Prisms, I think that you could see anything from like Vanquisher, Hamiel, Overlord, what else? Just a ton of different things. Murakumo decks, a couple of them. I mean, so many. Like, and we saw that this past weekend. Like, Night Rose made a big comeback. Gurgit was played a little bit too. I saw what made Gurgit busted has been banned from that deck. What made him good is still there. It still is Gurgit, so I believe it is actually a pretty decent deck still. Spectral Duke was there. There's just so many different decks that you can play with in V, and I think the format's decently established at this point where you can probably find something for everybody. So I really enjoyed the clan selection, and I'm really looking forward to the next V set that they are putting out. And I think that the developers have their minds in the right spot, and I think that they will do really good for the game. So that's probably my overall assessment for V. I think that it probably could be in a better spot just with those 1 or 2 tweaks, and maybe a little more counterplay to Hamiel, maybe reduce like no CL or something, get that no CL grade 3 out of there. But overall, I really like the format. I enjoy it. I was looking forward pretty much to watching that one over the weekend. So yeah. Moving right along into the final format, I'm probably least qualified to talk about this one just because I am hopping back into the format. I took a break for all of V pretty much, so maybe I'm in the same boat as a lot of you, but overall I did watch a lot of content surrounding it and trying to understand Premium, trying to wrap my head just back around it, and I really enjoyed the matches. I liked what I saw in general. I think that when we touch those top decks, the formats kind of get almost like V, like the format will be wide open. Like there are so many different decks to play in Tier 2 at the moment that are so much fun. I've been retooling my Narukami Premium and a couple other Premium as well. I'm trying to upload that video, just something's giving me an error over and over, so that's going to be our first Premium deck profile, actually. But I've been playing with my friends, and I think there's just like a new energy surrounding Premium in general with the Revival Selection or whatever coming out as well. I think that's a great product for America, at least, where Premium is, or English in general, when Premium is still kind of played. So I think that with those kind of 6 top decks. You know, I don't want to see loops really anymore. I don't want to see like complete RNG, crazy restanding Valkyrian and crap like that. So if that stuff is addressed, I think we have like a very decent format on our hands, and I'm excited to kind of, again, just jump back into it, and hopefully a lot of you guys are as well. Been noticing just locals and whatnot, like a lot more people are trying to look at and premium, and trying to get that kind of started, alternating weekends at my locals. We'll see what happens, but overall, yeah, that is my assessment of premium. Is it healthy right now? I'm gonna give that like a hard no, but again, like very, very simple kind of things to kind of get them back on the right track, and I think they mentioned that they are looking at the format, and they're gonna really see what they can do to kind of bring things back in and just kind of balance it out. So just some general closing thoughts then. All 3 formats I think are well on their way to becoming healthy. I think they definitely will address, after some of these results, things that, you know, are just degenerate and things that should not be. I think that the development team, I have a lot of faith in them. On top of that, I really liked Bushiroad, the Springfest Online. I think that is a great idea. Like, if you're somebody, you know, in like a rural place in the world, you know, middle of nowhere Canada, Iowa, in a cornfield, or, you know, Tunisia, I have no idea, wherever you are, if you speak the language, whatever the case is, like, to give these players an opportunity to play and to see, you know, demonstrate who they are and, like, you know, their capabilities, I think that's like so amazing, because I know a lot of people want to play this game, they just don't have the community surrounding them. So I think remote fight should definitely stay a thing. I think that they should keep this thing online, not in lieu of like a physical event. I still want physical events back. That's just me personally, how I want to play, but I enjoy consuming the content surrounding some of the remote fights, just not the way I want to play personally. I miss that in-person interaction and whatnot. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this. Let me know down below what you disagree with. Again, these are all just my opinions. I'm not trying to tell you to, you know, shut up about V-Series. I'm not trying to tell you, you know, the Overtrigger is the most balanced thing in the world. Let me know your opinions. Let me know what I am wrong about, what you think I'm wrong about. Any suggestions that you think I might have missed here, just totally let me know. The comments are a complete open discussion down below. So thank you guys so much. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that button. We are almost at 500 subs, so really trying to hit that 1,000 mark so we can possibly monetize the channel, maybe bring some better content overall, and really get the ball rolling with that. So thank you again, and this is Alex from Team Generations, signing out.